Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How was your New Year's?
It was very good.
It was?
Yes.
Was it very relaxing? Or
Yes.
Did you go wild and crazy?
No. So I went up to my mom and dad's house. They live on Lake Huron. We had a fire, made a fire on the lake. And at midnight, we all kind of stood around the fire and banged on a couple pots.
Oh, nice.
Said Happy New Year and drank some champagne.
Aww.
And then that was it. And then we went in the house and watched old movies.
Oh, that
was
sounds
it.
nice.
Yes. It was very, very low key. How
That's
about you?
Took the boys. We have a couple of friends that have kids also, and we took them to a hotel so that they could go swimming.
Fun. See?
And I made it to the ball drop. I usually don't. And that was
Did you
it.
actually watch a ball drop?
Yes, I did.
On TV?
Yes, because everybody was back in the hotel, and all of the kids, my kids and the other kids, were saying, "We are going to wake you up 2 minutes before the ball drops. You have to watch it." And I'm like,
I didn't even know they
"Why?"
still did the ball drop thing.
Yeah, it's like Ryan
New Year's
Seacrest takes
oh,
over the Dick Clark thing.
right.
Yeah, so it was chill. It was fun.
Yeah.
We ate Mexican food. It was delicious.
Yes.
That
See,
was it.
I never went to like big parties where you get dressed up and, fancy schmancy parties.
Yeah.
Some people do that.
Because
But I never did that.
No, and it's my least favorite holiday.
Is it?
Yeah,
Why?
I think it makes me sad.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like,
Why?
Probably because another year has passed, and
Mm.
I'm like,
It makes
closer
me
to death.
sad because I
No.
know closer to death.
I'm just kidding. That's terrible. But for me, it's
Wow.
like,
That's
okay, that
uplifting.
was very Happy New Year. I'm just being honest.
I'm telling you, you know what makes me sad? Because I know I won't keep any of my resolutions.
That's why I don't typically
kind of-
make them, but I do have one.
Okay, what is it?
I would like to have a better balance of taking care of myself too.
Instead of taking care of everybody else.
Yes, because right
Not-
now that's kind of
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
And I need to take a
Good.
step back and take care of myself too.
That's awesome. Yes.
So that's kind of a big one.
It's a big one because it encompasses all
a lot
kinds
of
of things.
See, and then I get overwhelmed, and then the resolution goes,
Yep. Mine are always the same. I'm going to get healthier and all that.
yeah.
But this year, I'm dubbing 2023 as the year of fun
Oh.
because we haven't had fun for the last few years.
Yeah, the last few years have
And
been a
so
little
now
rocky,
I think it's
tough.
time to have fun.
Yeah,
It's time to just come on now.
have fun.
Yeah, let's do things that we think are fun.
You should come to my house. It's always fun.
I know. I would love to.
That is the one thing. Like, I'm always laughing at my house.
Yes. Well, that's awesome.
So, that's
So-
a good one, though.
So you're fun, meaning we're just going to do things.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
and have fun and do things.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So
Are you going to do anything with me?
yes.
Okay, great. Because I am
Absolutely.
like the fun bus.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just coined that.
And did you know, though, are you going to have fun tonight? Because you know what tonight is? Or today is?
Oh, what?
Did you know today's Friday the 13th?
Ooh.
Now-
So do you believe in that, though?
Well, so the number 13 is actually a good number for like Italian people.
Oh, why? Like, is it
I don't
just
know.
like
It's a
lucky?
good luck number.
Oh, that's good to know.
So
I never thought of it as unlucky.
No, but Friday the 13th, I don't know. Do you think you don't have superstition?
I don't. I was trying to
I don't
think if
either.
I do have any, and I don't. I do firmly believe that weird stuff happens when it's a full moon.
Oh,
It
yeah, for
affects, people's behavior.
Yes, for sure.
but-
Is there a full moon tonight?
Well, that's what I was kind of like thinking.
Should we look into that? I
Oh.
don't know. I don't know how to find that right now. But yeah, that.
So I would blame it on the full moon and not the 13th. though.
Yes.
So,
Well, happy
know-
Friday the 13th.
oh, happy
And
Friday.
Happy New Year. So you're fun. You're fun. What was that?
Because it's Friday the 13th, the movie.
Oh,
And so, Why do they make that noise? Because it's not like when you wield
It's like
something, it makes that
eh,
noise.
right?
It's like a creaky
I don't
weapon.
know.
Okay.
It's a knife.
I've said
Okay,
too much.
this is getting bad.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on. So today we're going to talk about some buzzwords.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about something that's kind of in the news a lot, and that is a podcast that came out. Emily Hanford published a podcast called "Sold a Story."
Yeah, you were telling me about it.
Yeah,
So what is it? What is it?
It's in the news. It's the big buzz right now in education, or at least with a lot of people. So it's all about looking at the way we have been, or many school districts have been teaching kids to read.
Okay.
And so, as you know, and we can talk about it, but there are different philosophies about how to teach someone to read, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And
tons.
so this is all about a system that it includes a queuing system, and a queuing system is asking kids as they're reading a few questions to try to see if they can come up with the right word as they're
Okay.
reading. And so
Like the right word and the right answer?
the right
Or
the
like
right
for
word.
comprehension?
Well, as they're reading to see if they can comprehend like what the sentence is.
Okay.
If they don't know a word, then there's a system that asks several questions, 3 questions basically. What does that word make sense in that sentence?
Oh, so like decoding it too.
Yes, as they're decoding.
Gotcha.
Did that word make sense? Does that sound right? Did that sound right? And does that look right? So there are questions that they ask the kids. So instead of, as we teach, having them look at the letters and decode based on the letter sound,
Right.
they ask these questions. And so this is a different philosophy
Oh, I gotcha.
than what we
Right.
what we teach.
Yeah.
And so Emily Hanford focused on that during this podcast, and it's getting lots and lots of attention. And basically, it's looking at the science of reading, or a kind of
All the other buzz.
contrasting,
Yeah.
what the science of reading says to what this technique says, and so it's quite different, and
they have people on both sides.
they have people on both sides. I will say that the purpose of this is to expose a technique that has been found to not really work or be
Okay.
very effective.
Okay.
So you do have people on both sides, but mostly just kind of people talking about how this technique was not very helpful for their kids as they
Right.
learn to read.
Because
and for
it's
their
not a
students.
strategy for breaking a word down to read it.
Exactly. Yes.
I gotcha.
It's not a strategy to decode a word based on phonics.
Gotcha.
And so it's a real contrast between kind of like a whole word or whole word approach.
Yeah.
Contrasting that to a phonics approach
Right.
to reading. So and that's big. That's been a debate that's been going on forever, right?
Yep.
So
And then as more and more research comes out,
yep.
then you have more and more philosophies and methodologies to, and then every philosophy is trying to debunk the other one too.
Yes. Exactly. And this also is important too, because there's when schools are looking at what programs to use to read and to teach reading, what resources that they can find. Now this is coming out, and there are schools that are saying, well, we use that program, and lots and lots and lots of schools use that program or that technique. And so this is just causing a buzz,
Right.
This sold a story, because people are questioning, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the best that I can for my students?
Right. And a
Right.
lot of things now too, like when we have to get approved through a state or a district, that is one thing that it says like you cannot have as part of your program is cueing students.
Yes, yes. So that's a big part of this. Of it's all about that process
Okay.
of cueing. That's what this is about. And I will have to say that this is a really interesting podcast. It goes kind of sucks you in and gets you really interested, and there's so many layers
Yeah.
to the story, and it's very good. I think it's very interesting.
Well, and there's one thing in here that it's talking about that the queuing system doesn't provide, I guess, is that equity in education.
Yes. So there's another buzz. So we're kind of looking at thinking about things that are in the news right now. So this is creating a buzz, and because of this, there are some buzzwords
Right.
that we can kind of talk about. And like, as you said,
Right.
equity and equality. So
Right.
what can you explain that?
Well, so it was funny when I was looking at this. I actually was talking to you about it before because we were listening to something. I can't remember what it was, but we were in the car, my son and I, and he was asking what the difference between equity and equality was. And I did not create this story. I used it as an example to explain to him. And so it's a story about 5 different people going into the hospital, and one comes in and he has like a scratch on his arm. Another person comes in and she has a rash. Another one had a heart attack, and one had a broken leg. And you're the nurse, and you go in there and you treat that first person, and you put a Band-Aid on them, and you clean up that, I almost said that mess.
That big
you
mess.
clean up that scratch or
Yeah.
whatever it is, that cut. And if we're talking about equality, and I want to treat everybody equally, and so me as a nurse, I treat that person with a Band-Aid, but then I do everything the same for everybody else that comes in that I have to help. It's equal. I'm treating them all equally, but obviously a Band-Aid is not going to help a broken leg or a heart attack or a rash.
Yes.
And so that's what equity is treating everybody, giving them what they need.
Right.
And it might look a little bit different in order to be equal so that they can all heal.
Yes.
So that's,
I remember seeing this that just made me think of a slide that we have in one of our presentations someplace. And the picture is some kids outside of in front of a great big fence. And there's like a baseball game going on the other side of the fence, and they want to see the baseball game. So equality would be giving them all the same stool.
Yep.
And if they're all different sizes, that might work for one kid to see over the fence. But if you have a really short person, that same, level of the height of stool wouldn't work for everybody. So equity would give them what they need, different stools to help them all see over the fence.
And then their heads are all equal, and they're
yes.
all at the same starting point to have the same view.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that just sparked that that image in my head when you were talking. So equality and equity, yes, those are things that we hear about all the time in education, and so teaching all kids using one program might not be what everybody needs.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
never a one size fits all.
exactly.
To give them all the same,
Yes.
be all on the same playing field,
Yes.
I guess.
So, there's also terms like differentiated instruction. That's a term that you hear in school, and that is tailoring instruction for kids based on what they need, right?
And that way you can use the same program,
Yes.
but then you're differentiating to make sure they get what they need.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that is those are some buzzwords, and other buzzwords that we are hearing a lot about is science of reading.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Science of reading.
Our whole last podcast.
The whole last podcast we talked about was science of reading,
Right.
and so science of reading is something that we're hearing about all the time, and that is supporting structured literacy. So what's structured literacy? There's another one. There's another kind of not buzzword, but something we hear about often when we talk about reading.
Yeah, the best way to, explain that one
Yeah.
is just you have different subject areas that you have to teach, and then it's how you teach them that matters. So
Right.
having explicit,
Yes.
multisensory, systematic, no
Yes.
matter what subject
Exactly.
you're teaching.
So, so there are all kinds of, like you mentioned, anything that's a structured literacy approach would be something that is very explicit, systematic, sequential, cumulative, all those things, and so that's what our program does. That's what a lot of programs do, especially Orton Gillingham based programs.
Yeah, it's that multisensory approach.
Yes, lots of student interaction, student teacher interaction, and using decodable texts.
Yeah.
So, what's a decodable text?
Yes.
Yes. So that's different from the approach that we were talking about earlier. If you have leveled readers, decodable texts are different than leveled readers.
Right.
And so, what's a leveled reader? These are all things that we hear all the time, don't we? When we're
All the
talking
time.
about when we're talking about reading specifically.
Right.
So that's all part of structured literacy.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of structured literacy, and this is where that podcast Sold the Story comes in, we have balanced literacy.
Yeah.
Right?
And it balanced literacy doesn't encompass what the title says.
It
I
sounds
guess.
like it's really good.
You're like, oh, I get a little bit of everything.
Of course.
Yeah.
It seems like that should be what we should all
and
strive
there
for.
are good things to, parts of these things.
Yes.
Parts of these methodologies. There are good parts.
Exactly.
But
balanced literacy is different because it's different from phonics, a phonics approach.
Right.
It's like a balanced literacy came about because of this big discussion between what's better, phonics or whole language, right?
Yeah.
And so so the idea was, well, we'll put them together, right?
Yeah.
And that sounds like that's a really great thing to do.
Right.
But the way that happened, I don't think it was very effective.
Right,
in the
because
end.
then they're still using that queuing system also.
Yes. And so in that case, instruction is not necessarily explicit. So they're using this queuing system instead of actually really teaching kids how to read through phonics. So this is, and there may be people that are listening, and we would love to hear, your
Especially
opinion
if you
about this,
used because
Yeah.
there are probably successes.
Yep.
And there have probably been challenges.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So whatever. And for some students, one thing will work amazing.
Yes.
Well, for another student, that is, just not what they need. They need something different.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the bottom line is that, when you're teaching someone to read, you really want to teach them how to read.
Right.
What's exactly on the page.
Right.
Right. So teaching them what the letters say, teaching them about patterns in language, those are things that will help them read those words accurately.
Well, and strategies so they could read on their own.
They can read on their own. And so one big part of the podcast was kind of looking at those techniques and saying, are they really reading?
Right.
Or are they just guessing?
Right.
And approximating,
Right.
And so there's that difference of opinion again. is, is it important to be able to read accurately, or is it important to get the point across? So, we think that they should read accurately. Accuracy is important for fluency, and it's part of fluency, and
And then they can comprehend.
then they can comprehend, and
Yeah.
they can do it on their own.
Right. That's
Right?
a big piece
They
of
can
it.
do it on their own.
Yeah.
So, so I think that you should listen to that. It's
I will.
it's very, very enlightening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the history of reading, really.
Yeah.
Because it goes back a ways, and it talks about where this where it all came from.
Is it
what
just
started it.
one big episode, or are
No,
there multiple
there's
messages?
6 episodes.
Okay.
So, and they're not too long. They're like a half hour to an hour.
Sold a story.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
They do it. She does a really great job with that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I will listen to it.
yes.
And once you listen to that too, because does she mention all of those other approaches or just?
Yeah, she does, but doesn't go into a lot of detail.
Okay.
But mostly to contrast
Okay.
what the techniques.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people on there that and I think if you're a parent and you're concerned about your child reading, you can look into what's going on at the school, and
It explains it.
it kind of explains.
Yeah. Well, what
the
they
approach.
may or may
Yeah,
not be doing.
Yeah. So can you think of any other buzzwords in that I mean, we hear all kinds of buzzwords. EL, what's EL, what's ELL,
And it's
English
different
learner, English language learner, English
depending
as a
on
second
what state you go to.
So
too.
there's a lot of things in education that even for teachers might say, gosh, what does that mean?
Right. Right.
So I think there's a whole bunch of them. You can find pages of these that even if you're in education can be confusing. And so, but right now we just kind of wanted to talk about, the structured literacy, science of reading. Those are the things that are really coming out in the news a lot now.
Right. And you might hear the other ones too. Because
Yes.
some of them are in context,
Yes.
like balanced literacy, but that equality, equity part is a big piece of that.
Yes.
In all of them.
Yeah.
Like how do we make it that everybody has the same starting point
Exactly.
and are ready to go?
Right. Right.
So.
Yep. All right.
So do you know what January is?
No.
You'll never guess. It is National Mentoring Month. Were you ever a mentor?
I was.
Oh.
I was a mentor for when I was teaching, I was a mentor for a brand new teacher,
Oh.
a first year teacher.
How'd that go?
It was great.
Yeah.
And
loved
when I
my
was a
mentor.
first year teacher, I had a mentor.
Yeah. I had one too.
Yeah.
And I loved her.
Yeah.
She was great.
Yeah.
We do have a little bit of mentoring that we do. Well, not a little bit. It's kind of a big thing. When someone goes through certification here and they want to become a Orton Gillingham dyslexia specialist.
Yes.
Ooh, say it with me. Ooh. Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. Then once they get through all of the prerequisites and everything like that, they have to actually use the program with students and be observed. And we have practicum supervisors who oversee that whole process.
Yes.
And it's a big job.
Yeah.
you know.
I was able to do that one time with somebody going through the program, and it was good
Yeah.
because I was able to kind of give her my feedback and
Yeah.
expertise.
And everyone who goes through it,
everybody needs a mentor.
Yeah. And they're so committed and they're so, they want to do
Yeah.
well. And
Yeah.
so,
So January is National Mentoring Month. Awesome.
yes.
Great. Get a mentor.
Yeah. Who would be my mentor? I don't know. I have to think about that one.
Yes.
I loved mentoring. I used to do it all the time with
That's because you like to tell people.
what to do.
Yeah.
This is facts.
You
These are facts. That is factual. I'm bossy.
you just want everybody to do it the way you do it, so you're going to mentor.
I thought one of your resolutions was to
Oh,
be
shoot.
not so
Sassy.
sassy.
Darn it. I was just having fun.
Failed.
It's the year of fun. I was just having fun with you.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
But you were right. So
I'm sorry. That was sassy.
It was funny. All right. So that's a wrap for this.
That's a wrap. And there's lots and lots and lots of, we could have talked about lots of things.
Well,
This is just scratched the surface a
yeah.
little bit. Of,
But if there's any that we hadn't mentioned or that should be important or important to other people, or you have questions about it, you can always email us, or you can actually leave a voicemail
yeah.
for us, and we'll answer. Well,
Yeah.
we'll help. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. We can at least talk about it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't agree with us, we can still, we would love to have a discussion with anybody that would like to talk about that. That would be great. So you can visit our website and find out how to contact us and follow us on social media, right?
Mhm.
Watch us and follow us on YouTube.
Yes.
Because YouTube is a great place to go, because you can watch the podcast, but there's also all kinds of other things on our YouTube channel.
I was just thinking
available.
all
Yeah.
those videos.
Oh, yeah.
Of actually people, doing
Using the program. And-
yeah.
yeah. So check out our YouTube channel.
and subscribe, and then you'll
And-
get all of our new stuff too.
Yeah. And today, don't walk under any ladders, and don't
Break a mirror.
Break a mirror, and don't put your umbrella up inside of the building, which I did today.
It's funny.
I did that actually today.
Even though I'm not superstitious, and I know these, like the walking under a ladder and the umbrella, if I'm in here or like in a room, I do hesitate at first, and I'm like, meh.
With your umbrella?
Yeah, like at
Oh,
first.
interesting.
But then I open it. So that could explain my last 2 years.
I
haven't had the greatest luck. But no, that's not true.
And if you see a black cat,
But I had a black cat.
see, that's why you have such terrible luck. No, I'm just kidding. No. So anyway, happy
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
I'm excited for this year.
Fun bus has arrived.
Yes.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.